I'm LeaAnn Tyson. I teach up at Western Washington University up in Bellingham. This is my 4th year here. Before that, I was down at Texas, and I was finishing up a degree at the University of Texas. I've been playing handball competitively for about 14 years, and I started at a very late age to introduce a new sport. I started at the age of 24, which is already older than a lot of you in this room, I know. But I started playing handball at 24, and I was very lucky in that I had some athletic ability that had carried over from other sports. I played 4 years of college volleyball, I played a lot of softball, did a lot of running, and so some of those skills carried over, so I was lucky enough to learn handball very, very quickly. I was also very, very lucky to have probably the best instruction I could have in learning how to play handball. So I've played about 14 years. There's lots of competitions for women at the national and international level. We have 4-wall championships. We have 3-wall championships, we have YMCA championships, we have 2 big tournaments that all the top women go to. One of them is called the Women's Classic, and one of them used to be called the Bud Light when it existed. And of those tournaments, and with singles and doubles, I've won, I think I was trying to add it up, I think it's 8 national championships between singles and doubles, and that's been purely because I've had good instruction. I've been lucky enough to learn handball fairly quickly. So that's a little bit about my handball background. Now I work with the Handball Association very, very closely. We've written some instructional books, which all of you will get at the end of the session. Also, I serve as the National Schools Program Director. So any school in the country who chooses to teach handball or who chooses to implement handball in their PE curriculum can contact me. I give them help, I give them assistance, I help with lesson plans and so on. Also, I'm on the Development Committee of the United States Handball Association, which our job is to promote handball, particularly at the junior level or kids level, and also in women's play. I'm with it. Let's talk a little bit about handball in general. First of all, I know some of you are in this workshop thinking that this is team handball. This is not team handball. We have a booth at the National PE Convention every year, and we're promoting handball, and people come up and say, do you have any rules? We give them rules. Do you have any materials? We give them materials. We give them lesson plans. And then they say, great, because my kids love playing team handball. And we go, no, this is the other handball. The other thing that we get when we mention the word handball is people associate it with an old game, an old person's game. And people say, oh, my dad played handball. Oh, I used to see him play it at the YMCA. And to some extent, that is still true. It's a very, very popular game among men. It's mostly men playing, and that's one of the great things about going to nationals. There's 800 men and about 50 women, so the odds are pretty darn good. So one of the things that we think about, too, is that handball is a very traditional game, and it is. In fact, the Guinness World Book of Records will tell you that handball is the oldest game played with a ball. Another attitude that we have when we talk about handball, or even when I talk about handball to my college students, is, oh, I tried it once and it hurt my hands. That's the attitude that we're trying to change. And so what we did was we realized if kids had good experiences with handball, if kids were successful in learning handball, this might be a great sport that they would continue. Handball is very, very, very challenging. It is not an easy sport, but we can break it down and teach it in progressions, modify the equipment, modify the space so that all kids can have success. But once you start playing at the competitive level, it's very challenging. For those of you that are golfers, it's very similar to golf in that way, where it's one of those sports where you just stay at it and stay at it and stay at it because it's just so challenging and there's always more to learn. Another good thing about handball is it's a high fitness activity, very, very, very high. I've never, in all the sports that I've played, I've never had anything that's been as good of a workout. I'll play a 2.5-hour handball match sometimes, and I'll come out of there and my arms are aching and my legs are aching and my heart is pounding. It's the best physical activity that I can find that will work out your total body. other thing that I know about handball that a lot of people don't realize or they don't see the value in is that it's a bilateral sport. It's a sport where you use both sides of your body. All right, and I know some of you are already panicking at this point because you're thinking about using your non-dominant hand, but trust me, it works. But not only are you learning physical skills with the other side of your body, you're also having to move, have footwork to the other side of your body, you're having to react to the other side of your body, and it makes it a very, very good sport, a tremendous sport. It's an easy sport to incorporate into the PE curriculum. What you need is exactly what you see. We've got wall space and we've got a whole variety of balls. And for that reason, we have the philosophy in the United States Handball Association of any wall, any ball. We have played handball inside a gymnasium like this. We have played handball outside schools. In fact, in the booklets and the materials you'll see some of my kids, my PE kids, kindergartners all the way up to fifth graders. They're playing in a gym. They're playing on the outside of a school building. You can play it on the outside of any building. It doesn't have to be a small surface because we can modify the ball. Okay, what we're going to do, too, is incorporate two philosophies that are my personal philosophies that I promote in every class I teach. In fact, I tell my students get a tattoo of this saying. They memorize it. It's one of the things that they buy into, and I know they can all say it with me, but there's two principles. One is maximum participation. One is maximum success. One of the things that happens with maximum participation is we don't do any elimination games. We never, ever, ever structure our class where kids are out and they sit. We're always going to have kids as active as we possibly can. Kids in your class, especially with a class about this size, may have different roles, but they will be active. So there's no standing and waiting. There's always movement and activity. The second concept is maximum success. And maximum success comes from good, strong progressions. We don't start kids playing baseball by putting them in a baseball situation. We don't start kids playing kickball by putting them in a kickball game. We teach them how to kick, we teach them how to hit, we teach them how to field, we teach them how to throw. And if we have to modify the equipment in that process, we do so. And that's what we're going to do today. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is start out just like you were kindergartners, and we're going to, don't act like kindergartners, but just like you were kindergartners, and we're going to start out with some progressions using some utility balls. We are gradually going to move to racquetballs, and racquetballs would be the smallest, hardest thing you would want to work to. You do not want to work with regulation handballs because they do hurt, particularly if you're not wearing gloves, particularly if you're just banging the ball against the wall. So what we're going to do is start out with utility balls. My rule, too, in my classes, and also it's a rule in the United States Handball Association, is that sportsmanship is expected and demanded. When we teach, it doesn't matter whether we're teaching basketball, we're teaching kickball, we expect and demand good sportsmanship. So a lot of times throughout this, I'm going to have you switch partners. I'm going to have you go up and introduce yourself. Hi, I'm LeaAnn.
Eric.
Eric. All right, Eric, let's have a good rally. Let's have a good match. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of switching all the time. Every time you switch to a new partner, I do expect you to shake hands and introduce yourself. Okay, first drill we're going to do. I'm going to steal a utility ball right here. Eric. Eric's my partner. Hi, I'm LeaAnn.
I'm Eric.
Eric. Okay, what we're going to do is start out with a utility ball. We're not using any walls at all. This happens to be an 8-inch utility ball. In those bags, we've got 10-inch utility balls, we've got 12-inch, we've even got 6-inch. It doesn't matter what size you start out with, but with kindergartners, we would certainly start out with 10-inch or 8-inch utility balls. First thing I'm going to do is what is called a drop and hit, and this is going to be two hands. So I'm going to drop and hit. Eric catches, drop and hit. Catch, drop, and hit. And we do this, number one, to make sure kids can feel contact with the ball, but also it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. It's an 8-inch or a 10-inch ball, and we're using two hands. This is going to be our very first progression. Throughout this, as you do this, I'm going to say stop. The next thing I'd like you to do is this. And so just listen for the word stop, and then you're going to know that we're going to switch partners and switch activities. So get with a partner you don't know, introduce yourself, and start with two hands, drop, and hit. Go! Randy and I are going to do the same thing we just did. The difference is we use one hand. So it's drop, hit, catch, drop, hit, catch, drop, hit, catch. What we'd like you to do is alternate hands. All right, and this will be the easiest thing you do with your non-dominant hand. So it's drop, hit, catch, drop, hit, catch. Go! Okay, the next thing we're going to do, hi, I'm LeaAnn.
I'm Joe.
Joe and I are going to do the same thing. We are going to try to alternate hands, but we're not going to stop the ball. So it's just going to be a drop, hit, rally. Very similar to two-square. This is a modified two-square. Drop, hit, it bounces, he taps. Oops, I used my strong hand, I'm cheating. Weak hand, strong hand, weak hand. If kids have a hard time alternating, that's okay. Just make sure we get weak hand or non-dominant hand in there. All right, and it's funny because you guys are all adults and you felt compelled to find lines on the floor so that you could do your drill. That's okay. Okay, so it's modified two-square, alternate hands. Here we go. Okay, you are?
Randy.
Randy. Hi, Randy. I'm LeaAnn. Okay, the next drill we could do is incorporate angles of rebound. Rebound is one of the hardest things for young children to learn, for primary kids, for kinder kids to learn. So one of the drills we could do, which we're going to skip, would be I would roll the ball to the wall at an angle to my partner. Notice I say partner, not opponent. To my partner, Randy, and he's going to retrieve, roll back. He can change different angles. I get it. Change the angle, we roll back, we can switch sides, but all we're understanding is rebound. If I throw it right straight in front of myself, the ball rebounds back. Okay, that would be the next drill that we would do with kinder kids and first graders. We might even introduce the handball unit to second graders in that way, but we're going to skip that for time. The next thing I want you to do is continue with the two-square, trying to alternate hands if you can, and we're going to use a wall. Okay, so Randy and I are partners, not opponents. I'm going to drop, hit, he touches, I touch. This is what we call a position rally. We are not changing positions, we're just tapping back and forth. Eventually, we would switch sides. We're going to do another position rally where we're not switching and running around. We're just trying to hit to each other, back and forth. Okay, now along the wall I have some cones, and those are kind of to mark the boundaries of your court. We also have some yellow tape marks, so kind of try to stay closer than the yellow tape mark to your wall. We're going to have a lot of people around. If we have to scrunch up, go ahead and scrunch up. Change partners! Change partners! Okay, a question has just been asked is what is the difference between that and wall ball that they play at recess? Actually, there are two versions of wall ball. One is what we just did, which is actually one wall handball against the wall. A second version, and for some reason they call it Chinese handball or wall ball, is to hit, and it's usually an overhand motion, and it goes floor, wall, floor, wall, floor, wall, floor, wall. So that would be the difference. So sometimes your kids will say they play wall ball at recess. They could be talking about either thing. What you were just doing, which was dropping and hitting and rallying against the wall with the utility ball, that is one wall handball. That's it right there. You didn't hear me talk about the rules. You didn't hear me talk about hinders, service rules, anything along those lines, because what we're trying to do is to get the kids to hit the ball against the wall and alternate with a partner. That is one wall handball. Okay, what we would do eventually, With kindergarten kids, we start out with 8 and 10-inch utility balls, and then we work down generally to 6-inch utility balls, and some of you were using 6-inch utility balls. That's about what we work up to, and we would just get to a point where we could rally just like that. Then we rotate kids, they rally with different people if they want to. Okay, when we start with 2nd and 3rd graders, for the most part we start with 6-inch utility balls, and then we switch to racket balls. All right, this is a racket ball. Racket balls are pretty good. The problem with racket balls is they're very lively. All right, lively, which means they can go rolling away, which means we change the structure of our organization. What you were doing was with a partner, there was nobody behind you, there were a lot of people next to you, and that's okay. Even kindergartners can get close to the wall and do that kind of activity. But when we switch to a racquetball, this becomes a safety hazard. So what we do is we work in groups of 3 or 4, and we have the person who is out or the 2 people that are out serve as shaggers. All right, shaggers are the people who stand behind, and the second the ball gets away, they catch it, they retrieve, they give it back to the person who's hitting. Trust me, at the elementary level, middle school, and high school level, the shaggers or retrievers get as much exercise as the people hitting the ball, and that's okay. That's fine. What we tell the retrievers is that they are the first line, or what we tell the players is that the player who is active on the court is the first line of defense. When the ball comes to me, I'm the first line of defense, I'm trying to get the ball. If it goes by me, the retriever is the second line of defense, and the ball better not get by the second line of defense, because that means it's going into another court. So retrievers, people acting as retrievers, have to move just like the players. All right, if we've got 2 players and 2 retrievers, I'm responsible for 1 player. If the ball gets by them, I retrieve, hand it back to them so that they can get going again. Okay, so what we eventually want to work up to is where we can rally against the wall with the racquetball, using different strokes, using either hand. But we never, ever, ever teach hitting without first teaching throwing. There are 2 basic strokes that we use when we hit a handball or a racquetball. One is the overhand stroke. So what we're going to do is we're going to get in groups of 3 or 4. 3 or 4. Each one of you is going to have a racquetball. There should be plenty of racquetballs between that box and that bag, and I've got another gym bag. And all I'd like for you to do is do strong arm or dominant arm overhand throw. Nice and easy overhand throw. The next thing we're going to do is switch to our non-dominant hand. So get as many successful trials with your dominant hand as you can. Okay, get in groups about 3 or 4. Know who you're working with. This is a different partner. Get 1 racquetball. Go! You guys are so adult. Things are, do we have to throw under the line, over the, there's no lines yet. We have no lines, no courts yet. We're just throwing. Okay, what we're going to do is switch to non-dominant hand. That would be my left hand. What we want to do, don't panic. What we want to do is throw the same good throw we just threw with our dominant hand. That means shoulder rotation, elbow and hand high, step with our opposite foot. All right, if I have to go around and throw with my dominant hand, every couple of throws to remember what it feels like, I do so. All right, I'm throwing left-handed. Now, on this one, you may want to alternate with the person near you. I anticipate balls bouncing around a little bit more with your non-dominant hand than they would with your dominant hand. So if you need to alternate with somebody, go ahead. If they're in plenty of control, and you can control by having them close to the wall. If you want them to be under control, have them close to the wall. And we're just flipping the ball. All right, if you're under control, back up a little bit more. You're still doing the same throw, dominant and non-dominant. Okay, go. Wait till I'm out of the way. Hi, I'm LeaAnn. You are?
Andrea.
Hi, Andrea. Okay, the next thing that you would do is your partner with at least one shagger who's behind you, could be two shaggers. Your partner's going to set you up. This is called a toss and hit. There are two ways to do a toss and hit. My partner could toss it straight up in the air. I could move under it and hit it overhand, or she could toss it to the wall, and it has to be high enough but under control that I can move under it and use an overhand stroke. Go ahead. Okay. What I would like to do is hit with my dominant on one and my non-dominant on the other. Doesn't throw it against the wall. Thanks. Non-dominant overhand. Go ahead, Andrea. Oh, yeah. Dominant. Non-dominant, Andrea. Bad toss. My fault. On anything where there's a partner toss, the message that you give to kids is you make your partner successful. All right? So it has to be a good toss. If it's a bad toss and they want to catch it, that's okay. But partner tossers, you make your partner successful. Okay, let's go about 10 hits, dominant, non-dominant, with the same tosser. Shaggers rotate in after 10. Go! The next throw or stroke that we would learn is a sidearm throw or a sidearm stroke. Now, some people in the PE department will wonder whether we even teach a sidearm stroke, a sidearm throw. This is where it comes in handy with handball and racquetball. When we teach sidearm, we want to change our alignment so we're not oriented where we're facing the wall, we're side to the wall. When it's dominant arm, we're going to take our step closest to the wall, and it's a nice, relaxed throw. Nice, relaxed throw, dominant hand. Notice, and the cue that we give to kids is rubber arm. All right, rubber arm, relaxed arm. Here we go. Now, on this one, you decide in the group that you're working with, which should be a new group, you decide in the group you're in whether you want to alternate, take turns, whether you want a shagger. I really don't know, but you let kids decide. If their skill level is such that they can control a sidearm throw, that's great. If they need a shagger, that's what we need. If you want to alternate, that's fine, but this is where kids can judge. So you're working on dominant hand, sidearm stroke. Go. One of the things that happens when we throw sidearm is we concentrate so much on it, the tendency is to tighten our arm. If we tighten our arm, our elbow can't come through first. If my target were this wall and somebody were standing even with me, they would see my elbow come through first. And some of the cues that we give to kids are throw your elbow to the wall. Throw your elbow to the wall, rubber arm. So that means their arm hangs like a string. They throw their elbow to the wall. So some of you are having a little bit of a difficult time controlling, but it's purely because, for no other reason, you're tightening your arm. And this is how your arm is coming through. All right? It's very hard to control. So it's elbow leads, rubber arm, go. Okay, go ahead and work on that a few minutes. Okay, remember the things that we do with our strong hand. We line up sideways to the wall, step to the wall, and throw. Lead with our elbow. With my non-dominant hand, side to the wall, I'm going to step to the wall, lead with my elbow, and throw. It's still rubber arm. Lead with elbow and throw. It doesn't take a lot of strain or stress because we're trying to control left hand. All right? The important thing, the most common error that we do is right-handed or strong hand, we line up really well, and we throw. And left hand, this is what we do. All right, so what we want to make sure is we have a good starting position, side to the wall, relax, and throw. Now, balls may be going a little bit more out of control on this one, so shaggers, be heads up, people be aware. Okay, go! Okay, the hitting motion, the most common thing for kids to do is they turn their hands into a racket. We don't see it so much with overhand, but we can. Hand into a racket. And what you noticed was that my hand tightened up. We see it a lot when we want them to hit sidearm. So what we try to tell them is relax your hand. It's a cupped motion, and it's just like throwing. That's why we spend so much time on throwing. This is a throwing motion. This is a hitting motion. It didn't hurt at all. I'm still relaxing my wrist. I'm still leading with my elbow. This is what is called drop and hit. On drop and hit, I face sideways, drop the ball, hit. All right, it's a nice controlled hit. You don't want to turn your hand into a racket. That's going to hurt. All right, that's going to hurt, and also it's going to be a lot more out of control. So we drop the ball, diagonal to our shoulder, step, and hit with a nice, relaxed, cupped hand. We're going to do this dominant hand. We're going to have one line of defense. The first line of defense is going to be the catcher. The second line of defense, nothing gets by the second line of defense. That's the retriever. Brant, I'm LeaAnn.
I'm LeaAnn. I'm Brant.
Brant's going to hit. I'm the first line of defense. Hi, Alan. I'm LeaAnn.
Hi, LeaAnn. I'm Alan.
Okay, Brant's going to hit the ball. I'm going to catch it, and then we're going to rotate. Brant hasn't had his Ritalin today. Okay, go, Brant. Okay, I'm first line of defense. I take it. Brant goes to second line of defense. Alan's in. Drop, hit. Retrieve. Switch. There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, groups of three deep. Here you go. New group of three. Joey, you're with me. Hi, Joey. I'm LeaAnn.
Hi, LeaAnn. Yeah, I'm glad to meet you.
Hi, I'm LeaAnn. Kathy, come on up. Okay, here's our favorite part. This is non-dominant hand, so we still have our two lines of defense. Joey's my first line of defense. Kathy's my second line of defense. The key is I turn my shoulders completely sideways to the wall I want to go to. I want to drop the ball diagonally. I want to relax my arm. I want to lead with my elbow, and I want my hand in a relaxed cup position. Everything is the same. Everything is the same, and that's what we're trying to do physically is make it the same. So I'm going to hit. Joey's my first line of defense. He catches. Kathy's second line of defense. She rotates in. It's going to be a drop and hit, left-handed. Woo-hoo! Go, 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 go. There we go. It's all right. That's okay. Drop a little bit lower. Well done. That's it. I'm not out of control at all. No problem. Okay, new group of three deep. Here we go. If I could have half of you kind of over here in a good listening and seeing position, and the other half over here, I'm going to use this one-wall court with, hi, Derek, I'm LeaAnn.
Hello.
Okay, what I'm going to do is we're going to start it with what is called toss and hit. On toss and hit, this gets very close to a position rally, but we could do a position rally with this, but we're going to skip it for this demonstration. I'm just going to toss the ball. It's Derek's turn to hit it. Then it's my turn to hit it. Then it's Derek's turn to hit it, and we play out what is called a rally. We just play out a rally. Now we've got 2 shaggers. We are first line of defense. When I hit it, Derek's trying to hit it. He's the first line of defense. Our second line of defense are our retrievers. One retriever is responsible for my misses. You won't be very busy. The other retriever is responsible for Derek's misses. All right, so all we're going to do is rally back and forth, and we're going to start it with a toss. Would you be a retriever, please? Would you be a retriever, please? Here we go. Toss and hit. We're not going to play this competitively, where I would hit it so that Derek cannot get it. We're going to play it cooperatively, so I'm going to hit it so Derek can get it.
Dive, Derek.
Dive, Derek, dive. Go ahead. Okay, ready, Derek. Okay, you've got 4. Here we go, new 4, go and rally. Hold it, my fault, I forgot to tell you how to rotate. What you do is you play out 2 rallies, then the person who started the toss becomes the first retriever. The person who hit the first one goes to shagger, shagger, player. So we're rotating in a box clockwise. My fault, I forgot to tell you. Go! The next thing that we would do, some of you were already doing it. We started out with a toss and hit this way. The next thing that we would do would be a drop and hit. What's a drop and hit? It's a serve. So we would tell kids we might have a line on the floor, we might have cones, and we say you have to stand behind this line, you're going to drop and hit. That is what initiates the rally. At this point, too, that's when we can start bringing in boundaries. On this wall, we've got a yellow piece of tape that goes all the way down. So now we can incorporate some rules and say that during the rally, the ball has to bounce in front of this yellow line or it's out of bounds. We could make this line as close as we wanted to, the more we wanted to control the rallies or control the play. Obviously, we don't want it too close because then they're going to be standing there doing this. Well, that might be okay too. But we don't want it too far away or else we're going to have kids really, really, really backing up to hit the ball. And if you've got a situation like this where you're limited in wall space, limited in deep court space, then you want to control it. So Bob's going to rally with me. Laura's going to be our first retriever. We're going to pretend like we have 2 retrievers. I'm going to drop and hit. He's going to try to get it and watch and make sure that every ball bounces in front of the yellow line. He can hit it on the fly if he wants. So if the ball comes, he can hit it on the fly. But if we want to let it bounce, it has to bounce in front of the yellow line. So this is drop and hit, turns into a serve. Here we go. Oh, are we running around our non-dominant hand? Okay. No sidelines yet. We could do the same thing. Bob starts. Oh, actually, Bob goes in. Laura goes in. I'm the retriever. Nice try. Good try. Good try. If you feel like you can't hit the wall, hit your partner. Go ahead. No. Okay, so you're in groups of 4. Now we're starting it with a drop and hit, but the ball cannot bounce deeper. Now try to stay within your quarter. We kind of have some courts marked off. Do the best that you can to stay within your quarter so we're not crashing into other people. Go! Your name is? Giovanni? I'm LeaAnn. Come on up. Okay, Giovanni and I are playing together. This is one wall handball. All right, now we're going to have you scoot back. Sorry. If we were to get to this point, we could enlarge our court, so our side boundaries are this cone and this cone. Our back boundary for the bounce is right here. We can still play it cooperatively if we want. I bounce it, try to hit it so that Giovanni can hit it. We switch back and forth, or we can play it competitively. It doesn't matter. We're going to decide. What do you want to play?
Just back and forth.
Back and forth. Here we go. Back and forth. So I'm going to drop and hit. I'm going to hit it so he gets it. I'm going to get out of his way. We're going to use overhand strokes, and we're going to use... Nice try. Here we go again. Now it's my turn to serve. Drop and hit. Here we go. That's it. I'm not going to run around my left hand. I'm going to use it. I'm going to back up, use my overhand. Out of bounds. Okay, what you just saw me hit was a fist ball, and that's okay too. So if you have the gym space, you can enlarge the courts if you want. You can make them deeper. In fact, one of the classes up at Western, the kids just did some unit plans, and they were doing some racquetball unit plans. And one of the things they did was they had 4 courts in a great big gym. Beginning, you can shrink it down. You can shrink it down, and you can have 10 courts in a gym. And I've done it. The pictures that you'll see in the booklets are probably about 10 or 15 courts in a really tiny gym, a gym smaller than this. When you get to other activities and you want to enlarge it, kids get better. They have more control with the racquetballs. Enlarge your courts. All right, and you still have 2 shaggers. If you get really, 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 really bold, you could play doubles if you wanted to. But that's really hard because you don't really want to spend a whole lot of your instructional time talking about hinders, talking about getting out of the way. The general rule is hit the ball and get out of the way so your partner can get it. Okay, but you don't want to spend time bogged down on the rules. Okay, if you would, kind of scoot in here. I've got some information to share with you and some booklets. Andrea, okay, some of them are right over here. Okay, the United States Handball Association has several resources for you to use. This one, which all of you will get, is called Teaching Handball in the Elementary Schools. And they're written up. You'll see pictures. These are pictures of my students playing. You'll see them playing with 8-inch utility balls, 6-inch utility balls. They've got some with racquetballs. These are all kids playing in a gym, inside a gym, and they're playing one-wall handball. If you use a corner, you can actually play 2-wall handball. All right, and you can introduce corner angles and rebounds and so on, depending on the facility that you have. So this is a booklet, Teaching Handball in the Elementary Schools, and this is geared towards cooperative play. How many times can you and your partner hit the ball in one rally? All right, so that's one resource for you. This is another resource that all of you will get. This is called Teaching Handball in the Secondary Schools. This one is geared more for competitive play, but on any of these drills, any of these activities, you can make them cooperative. You'll see pictures in here of some of the modifications they've made at high schools where they've got portable walls, where these kids are actually playing 3-wall handball, but you can still play 1-wall handball. There's also pictures of some national champions hitting the ball so that you can see what strokes look like and so on. The secondary guide works more on refinement of stroke, just like we did when we started with the racquetballs. With the kindergarten and the primary level, we're basically just meet the ball with your hand. Just make contact with it and try to keep the ball in play. By the time we get to intermediate grades and certainly secondary, we are working for refinement of stroke, sidearm stroke and overhand stroke. So each one of you can have one of these. The other things that I would like you to take is this green sheet is an order sheet that says available from the USHA. All of you are going to already have the elementary and the secondary guide. There's also a teaching 4-wall handball that's being revised right now. And that would be only in a situation if you had 4-wall courts. But that's something that you can order from the United States Handball Association. Here's a yellow sheet that just gives you some general information about the sport of handball, about regulation, court dimensions. We didn't play with any sort of dimensions in here at all. In fact, at lunchtime, I came in here and threw down yellow tape and said, yeah, that looks about right. And that's basically what you do in a teaching situation. You're not going to mark off 20 by 40 courts, trust me. Okay, this sheet right here, this screaming pink sheet, is 12 reasons that you can add handball, 12 reasons to add handball to your PE program. It talks about fitness, off-season conditioner, bilateral sport. The good thing about this sport that I see for kids is that size doesn't make a difference. There are a lot of sports out there, beginning at the elementary level all the way through the collegiate play, where size makes a big difference. If you're 6'2", you have a better chance of rebounding. If you're 6'2", you have a better chance of blocking at a volleyball net. With handball, size doesn't matter. All right, it doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are, you can be as competitive as everyone else, which makes it a very good game for kids. The other thing that makes it an excellent game for kids is there are so many modifications you can make. All right, generally, the smaller the child, we use the bigger ball, smaller space. That makes sense. They're going to have more success. The older the child, the smaller the ball, the bigger the space, and it's so easy to modify. All of you have playground balls, so that's something that you don't have to buy, you don't have to order. Most of you have cones you can mark off. Most of you have floor tape or just use lines in your gym. It's something that's very, very easy to teach. The racquetballs I buy for like $2 a can. You can get them at Kmart, $2 a can. Also, if you contact the United States Handball Association and make a really, really strong case as to why you need help on some startup equipment, they will help you as much as they can. They obviously can't help every school in the United States, although they would try to. They are trying to. Every school that contacts them, they try to do the best that they can. But all of you will walk out of here with these resources. Every once in a while you'll see handball played in movies. On Cosby Show, there's a whole Cosby episode where Bill Cosby's playing handball. So you see it and you hear about it, but we just don't ever think about incorporating it into the PE curriculum when it's one of the easiest things to teach in PE. Okay? Thank you for coming. If you have any questions, call me or see me.